Chael Sonnen jumped on his podcast to explain why Jake Paul was making the biggest mistake of his career by accepting the rematch versus Tyron Woodley. He explained that Woodley looked incredibly prepared physically and that he was training for Jake Paul in case of a cancellation. According to Chael, Jake has nothing to gain since he already has a victory over Tyron and he already has money. He said what he did gain was the respect of fighters by allowing the show to go on, securing all fighters' paychecks, and assuming all the risk. Check out what he had to say.
He's getting a very hard fight against his number one rival who is completely motivated to fight and defeat him, and Jake's not even thinking about the guy. And Jake's willing to step on because he follows the golden rule of show business, which is the show must go on. So while I tell you it's a huge mistake of Jake, I am right. But it's because he's willing to make that mistake anyway that you must accept him into the club. He doesn't have to beat Tyron Woodley. He already did. What he does have to do is show up. What he does have to do is show a respect to the rest of the card who's counting on that paychecks and whose holidays are going to be very different if Jake is or is not there. What he does have to do is show a respect to Showtime, who's taken all the risk, believed him, and set this goddamn thing up in the first place. And he did. He absolutely did. As a matter of fact, Jake went one step further, which is to tell Tyron Woodley, I'm going to give you $500,000 if you do knock me out. Now, you guys are hearing that, and Jake's reporting that, but Jake didn't tell you why he's saying that. He's saying that because of this internet sensation that is some kind of a belief that Tyron was restricted from knocking Jake out. This is Jake's way of telling you how silly that is. As a matter of fact, I'll give him another $500,000 if he does knock me out. Everything here is wrong for Jake, which we love guys that do things that are wrong. We don't like guys that don't need a full training camp and the weight's got to be this and the fight's got to be over here and I won't go over there, but I will over here and I need this many cornermen, I got to stay in this hotel. If there's any reason you don't want to do it, no problem. You're just not one of us. You're just not. Jake is, and that's all I'm trying to tell you guys, and he's proven it right now. Right now, Jake's inclusion into our little elitist community, because once you get in, you never get out, right? We don't have somebody that's one of us and then we throw him. Never. We'll bong him around ourselves. We'll deal with the guy and smack him and give him tough love ourselves, but we don't let anybody else do it. And once he's in, he's never out. And I'm telling you guys, Jake is in. I'm bringing him in. This is it. This is not an opinion piece anymore. Jake is now one of us. Period.
Jiu-Jitsu Times reported that Nate Diaz received his third-degree stripe on his black belt under Cesar Gracie. He started training in BJJ 22 years ago when he was only 14. After the Jose Aldo vs. Rob Font bout concluded, a lot of people commented on how the numbers and significant strikes in fight analytics don't always add up. At the end of the bout, Rob Font landed 149 strikes compared to Aldo's 86. On paper, Rob Font won by a landslide, but watching the bout, we saw Font get dropped in the first and fourth round. Here's what Michael Bisping's opinion on that was. Check it out.
Who decides how significant they are? And there's levels to significance, you know what I mean? So obviously some of Rob Font's strikes were significant, but Aldo's were more significanter. Do you know what I mean? Because it seemed like every time Aldo connected with something good, he dropped him on a few times, came close to finishing him. So yeah, he didn't land as many shots, but he certainly did a lot of damage. And I think it was definitely Aldo that came close to finishing the fight.
And finally, Sean O'Malley was on the MMA Hour and had a response for Raulian Paiva's belief that he would finish him in the second round. Here's what he had to say.
Obviously don't agree with that opinion. I think I get the job done within the 15 minutes, but I'm prepared to go for 15 minutes. You know, my last two fights have ended in the later third round. So I think, you know, I'm definitely prepared. I don't think anyone's going to be tougher than Chris Moutinho was. I know Paiva took a lot of damage in his last fight and he's going to be extremely tough too. So I plan on beating him up for 15 minutes and the finish, if it's there, it's there. I've always been good at being patient with the finish and letting the finish come. I'm not a guy that forces the finish. If it's there, it's there. And a lot of my fights, it ends up being there. So, you know, I plan on putting his lights out before the 3 rounds, but I'm going to let it play out how it plays out.
As always, guys, if you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button for me. If you're new, subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date. Thanks for watching.